Before we begin this webinar, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all my friends for making this a success. This event would not have been impossible without the support of each and everyone present here. Whatever we hear from this should not just evaporate, it should remain effective in our life and work. I ensure the webinar will be profitable and fruitful for everyone present here. Because each topic for today's session was chosen keeping in mind the interest of youth. Now, it's time to call upon the stars of today's webinar to share their views and presentations and to guide us with possible future solutions. Our first speaker is a proud alumni of CS department of our college, Mr. Joseph Techel George, who is a technical consultant at International Game Technology, Italy.
Good morning to all. Thanks, Revati, for that beautiful introduction. We really appreciate, and it means a lot. In addition to, we are also grateful to the principal and the teaching staff of KME Engineering College for inviting us to this webinar. Before we dive into the core part of this webinar, I actually wanted to say some introductory comments so that you will come to know why you are here and what you can expect from this webinar. Well, in this webinar, you will have the great opportunity to interact with Europeans. Probably you might have noticed Cosimo and Linda. Both of them are Italians. So this is important for you because one day you will have the opportunity to work with Europeans or Americans. So it's good to know their work culture, their level of knowledge, good to know what they expect from us. And as we go further, you will have questions, doubts. No need to be shy. You can shoot those questions to us related to our subject. You may be wondering, is there any connection between the topics that three of us have selected? Indeed, it does. Let's focus on the first topic, that is security for web application. Have you ever heard about European Data Protection Law? To understand this law, let me give an example. In India, sometimes when we make a phone call to other person, we record those calls, right? And the other person may not be knowing that we are recording his call. Without other person concern or permission, sometimes we put those data on the internet. In India, sometimes people may not care about those things so seriously, but in Europe, it's a crime. It's against privacy law. Without permission of others, we should not take their personal data. They have strict rules and regulation for their personal data. YouTube and Facebook, they have different rules and regulation only for European countries. Why are we talking about this topic in front of you all engineers? Think about this. If people in the Europe provide so much importance to the protection of their data, how much importance would they give to secure web application in which available on the internet freely? Most of the companies in Europe have separate team to secure software products. They hire cybersecurity engineer, they hire cybersecurity analyst, they hire security consultant, and the list goes on. So in this area, there are lots of job opportunity in Europe. Another emerging area which provides lots of job opportunity in Europe, that is blockchain. Because many companies wanted to build their products using blockchain. That's the reason Cosimo has selected the topic about blockchain. Since these two areas has immense job opportunity, then the next question is how to crack those job interviews. Definitely, our last speaker, Linda, will speak about that subject. Now, let me focus on my topic, which is security for web application. Can I ask you a question? An engineering degree or a computer science background degree is really needed to develop a web application? The answer is no.
Really no.
I'm sure that you will agree with me. A person who knows programming language can build a web application. Here is my next question. Do I need an engineering degree to build a secure web application? The answer is no. But I would like to add this sentence. To develop a secure web application, you need an engineering skills. You need an analytical skills. And those skills you will acquire during your engineering degree. That's why you are now here. And that's why you are listening to this webinar. Now you come to know what you will hear. And you also come to know why you need to listen to this webinar, right? Let's have an overview of our discussion. First, we will look at what does web application security means. And we will also see common vulnerabilities that we could identify in our code, especially in Java. You know, in the market, there are some tools available which really helps us to analyze our source code. We will talk about those tools and its configuration. We will also discuss some of the techniques that we could use while cleaning the code. And then finally, we will also touch one of our research topic, that is vulnerabilities exploitation in JavaScript. As a definition, we could say that web application security is the process of protecting websites and online service against different security threats that exploit vulnerabilities in an application code. So basically, what is meant by web application security? It means we need to create a protected application from an unprotected application. Why do we come across this situation? Because we need to understand the fact that none of the software developers are perfect. They make mistakes. But the challenge is to find those mistakes in a timely manner. What does unprotected application mean? This means that there are problems in our source code. There are some vulnerabilities in our source code, and that leads to our application vulnerable. What does it mean, vulnerability? Vulnerability is a kind of weakness and misconfiguration in the website or web application code that allows attacker to gain some level of control of site. What are common vulnerabilities? There are many, but just I have listed 3 of them. SQL injection, insecure cryptographic storage, and then finally, common cross-site request forgery. Can anyone explain what is SQL injection or insecure cryptographic storage?
Adding SQL to corrupting our database with SQL injection.
Okay, that's great. You said it correct. SQL database can be changed, right? An attacker can inject malicious content into the vulnerable fields. During your attack, your database data can be modified by using a following operation, that is insert, update, and delete. What about insecure cryptographic storage? An attacker can gain access to the unauthorized URLs without logging into application and exploit a vulnerability. If you don't know how to store your data in a secure manner, it is advised not to store your data in your database. Instead, you can hire third-party database and store there securely. What about cross-site request forgery? To understand this better, I will give you an example. Cross-site request forgery is a new type of CSRF vulnerability. In a successful CSRF vulnerability or attack, the attacker causes the victim user to carry out an action unintentionally. For example, this might be to change the email address on their account, or change their password, or make a funds transfer. First of all, we need to understand what is cross-site request forgery. Cross-site request forgery is an attack that forces an end user to execute unwanted action on a web application in which they are currently authenticated. And this could be done in different ways. For example, with the help of a social engineering, such as sending a link, email, or chat. An attacker may trick the users of web application into executing actions of attackers' choosing. As you can see in the diagram, the overall attacks will have 4 parties. The first one is an attacker, is not visible to anyone. Then there will be a victim, a genuine person. Additionally, there will be also a vulnerable side. And then finally, there will be a targeted system, a side where attacker has aim. So the entire process of attack can be divided into 4 steps. Step number 1, attacker prepares a URL of the vulnerable site by inserting the URL of target site as a URL fragment. Step number 2 and 3, the victim is lured into visiting the URL as it belongs to the application that user trusts upon the completion of page load. Step number 4, JavaScript code will extract a URL from the URL fragment and send an asynchronous HTTP request towards a target site, which in turn causes a security relevant state change on a target server. So this is the overall idea about cross-site request forgery attack. To understand a little more deeply, let me give an example with code. If the application was designed to get a GET request to transfer parameter and execute action, the money transfer operation might be reduced to requests like this: HTTP bank.com transfer so and so. For example, consider a person called Maria. She now decides to exploit this web application using Alice as victim. So what Maria does first? First, she constructs the following exploit URL, which will transfer 100,000 US$ from Alice's account to Maria's account. Then Maria takes the original command URL and replaces the beneficiary name with herself, raising the transfer amount significantly at the same time. So that is what you can see in the link. Amount and the name also change. The social engineering aspect of this attack tricks Alice into loading this URL when Alice logged into a bank application. This is usually done one of the following techniques: sending an unsolicited email with HTML content, planting an exploit URL or script on page that are likely to be visited by the victim as they are doing online banking. The exploit URL looked like an ordinary link, encouraging the victim to click. Once the victim clicks, what happens? If the image tag were included in the email, Alice wouldn't say anything. However, the browser will still submit the request to the bank.com without any visual indication that the transfer has been taken place. Everything will happen in the background. To detect these problems, it's a big challenge in JavaScript-based web application. So how to solve this problem? Can anyone tell how to resolve this issue? What is the solution for cross-site request forgery?
Setting up a
Okay.
cross-origin request sharing properly.
Let's see. I'm sure that if I show the next slide, you will say that I know this very well. Let's see the next slide. Re-authentication, captcha, or double password. You must have probably seen these double authentication feature in some of the web application, right? Because they have implemented these features to avoid cross-site request forgery attacks. Okay. What about games? We cannot use captcha or double password here. Normally people play games for a long time. I'm talking about the games that has money transaction. How to ensure security for each transaction? We cannot put captcha. We cannot put double password while playing the game. There will be two types of tokens or ticket used in the game. Those tokens will be processed in the backend of the game, which will not be visible to the user. One is general token, and the other one is SSO token. The general token will be constant, and this token will be used only for the first time login. Once you logged in, whenever you want to request to the server, uses SSO token, and this SSO token changes every time. So this guarantees security for every transaction. And this process will not be visible to the user as it takes place game's backend. Now we spoke about different vulnerabilities and how to protect our application from those vulnerabilities. Some of you might be thinking, I'm not studying all this technology right now, but how can I really practice all these techniques? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Do you really want to play around with vulnerability in the code? So I would suggest you to download Damin vulnerable Node.js application from GitHub repository. So here I have given the link, so you can try to download it and try to practice it. Now let's talk about source code analysis tool. You must have heard about the tool called Jenkins. Jenkins is used for continuous integration, and that allows continuous deployment, development, and also creating newly code securely. Whenever you build an application in Python or Java or any other programming language, try to create a job in Jenkins. The reason why I'm talking about this subject, because if you configure Jenkins with your project, then you can also connect Jenkins with SonarQube. SonarQube checks your code quality and tells you where the vulnerability exists in your code. To connect Jenkins and SonarQube, we need to configure SonarQube scanner inside the Jenkins. So here in the slide, the configuration details are mentioned, as you can see here. Please note that Jenkins and SonarQube, you can get it freely from online. So once we configure SonarQube in Jenkins, Jenkins shows the status of Sonar scanner. In this case, Sonar scanner is failed. That means there are some bugs in our Java or Python project. In my case, it's Java. So how to identify those bugs? Just by clicking the button error. When we click there, it takes us to SonarQube dashboard. So here we can see the type of error or bugs in our project. We have 18 bugs and 89 vulnerabilities. To see those bugs, just click the numbers. Then it takes us to Java code where we have actual problem. So here is the actual step of cleaning the code. It's Java class code. So here we can see the problem of Java code, and also Sonar gives you some tips how to resolve these bugs. So once we identify the issue, then go to the actual source code and try to fix it. But remember, SonarQube just give you an idea how to resolve, but actual fixing part you have to perform yourself. So once we solve all the bugs, then the SonarQube dashboard appear like this, as you can see on the left side of the slide, with the 0 bugs, 0 vulnerabilities, and Sonar dashboard also shows gate quality is passed with the color green. As you can see on the right side, at the same time, Jenkins also happy. It shows that SonarQube quality gate is okay. So this is what we need to achieve for each project. So every time when you make an application, even if it is small application, try to follow the same pattern so that you not only improve your development skills, but also you develop your analytical and problem solving skills. Try to build an application, store it in GitHub, try to connect with the Jenkins and also connect with the SonarQube and try to fix the code. So far, we spoke about vulnerabilities detection. There is also a research area that is vulnerabilities exploitation. That means when an application is already running in stage, try to exploit vulnerabilities. That is not easy in all the cases. So if you are S6, S7, or S8 students, as a part of final project, perhaps you could think following project. You can build a web application and try to exploit vulnerabilities in your application. The project daemon, which I showed earlier slide, will help you to do the same. Build a web application and try to use Jenkins or Travis CI for continuous integration. SonarQube or sonarcloud for code analysis. Or another project, build a web application with the help of test-driven development approach, TDD approach. So all the references I have given here, later you can check it. Now let's focus on opportunities for software engineers in Europe. Good knowledge of tools and techniques that we discuss in this presentation will help you to find good jobs in Europe. Most of the companies use these tools for their software development cycle. During your engineering degree, try to build maximum number of projects and save those projects in GitHub repository. Even if you make a small project, that's fine, that's okay, but try to save in your GitHub repository. Especially Europeans, they will be eager to see how many projects you have done during your 4 years of study. And then find correct job portal from online websites. Of course, your personal details we need to mention on your CV, but our project description should be the highlight of our CV. Don't just simply put that I have developed a hotel management system with this language, that's it. No, don't do that. Try to explain your project in your CV. The next step is very much important. If you really wanted to develop your career, then you go for your further studies in Europe. Let me give an example. During your 4 years of studies, how many projects will you be asked to do? I understand maximum 3 to 4 projects. I remember when I was there, I have done, I think, 2 or 3 projects, right? But here, how many subjects are there? That many projects you have to do. If you have 40 subjects in your 4 years of engineering degree, then in Europe, you have to perform or you have to build at least 35 to 38 projects in 4 years. If you really want to build your career, then you go for further studies. No doubt, those studies in Europe will not be waste. I'm sure that many opportunity you will get. Once you complete your bachelor degree or master degree, you will have bunch of knowledge. Please remember, it's not that easy to complete. But if you are able to do, it's very good. And no worry about jobs. You don't need to go behind the companies. Companies will follow you. If you have any doubts related to your career, your project or job opportunity, don't be shy. You can always welcome to contact me. Here you can find my email IDs. Once again, thank you from my bottom of my heart. So our next speaker is Cosimo Cingoli. He lives in a northern part of Italy called Florence. It's a beautiful city, one of the beautiful cities in Italy. Last year, we worked together for a project in cyber physical system. He is specialized in distributed system. I can tell you, he's technically too good. I'm sure that you will enjoy his presentation entitled How Blockchain Technology Could Change Your World.